I think we're about where I expected. I think Malik's having he's had a good start to camp. He left one, excuse me. He left, he really is only on two of his picks. One was his responsibility. He left one short on a fade route. Outside of that, he's been really accurate. He's made great decisions. We track decision-making and execution, physical execution. We grade every single play in practice for every quarterback that's in there. And the reason we do that is because obviously we want to try to determine if we're on a trajectory of understanding that allows us to win once we get to the regular season. And plus what it does is it ferrets out areas of the offense where maybe we have a lack of understanding if too many negative grades show up in those particular areas conceptually. Then I know we need to get that corrected. There's a lack of understanding. Malik, we want to be at over 90% in both, and Malik has been over 90% in his execution till yesterday, and his decision making has been hovering around 90, 91%. So he keeps that up. We're in pretty good shape. So he's doing well. JB's clearly the backup right now because he's having a good camp. He's throwing the ball well. He had got a great understanding and grasp of the offense, and we're still developing the young guys behind him.
Thank you, Coach, for that statement. We'll get to questions from the media. We'll start with John Manson from Sea Red.
Coach, a little bit different camp this year. We got Malik Willis kind of entrenched as your starter compared to a year ago, and a little bit of a battle going on. But we saw a lot out of Malik last year. Obviously, very talented quarterback and athlete. What are some things that you maybe have seen some growth in his game going back to the spring to now?
The thing you're trying to do with a quarterback, the number one quality we want that we want to find in a quarterback and develop with a quarterback is his ability to make great decisions. It far and away outweighs everything else. I mean, if you don't have the physical ability to play at this level, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to play, right? Because you're just not going to be able to make enough plays physically for us to win. So we really focus a lot in the first category, and that's decision making. And the great quarterbacks learn how to study the game, lay our offense on top of the schematic of the field and how the defenses are taught to play within that schematic, and then slow the game down for themselves mentally by learning where the shortcuts really are, learning where the shortcuts in pre-snap coverage recognition, post-snap decisions on your progression, knowing when to come back to the other side of the football, if you will, on particular passes, knowing man-zone concepts and knowing when it's man right now and where to stay, or if it's zone right now to get back to your progression to the zone side, these types of things. Malik has gotten better in those areas, which will serve him well because it gives the illusion for a quarterback that the game's actually slowed down. You hear an athlete talk about a game slowing down. That's actually what it is that he's processing information faster in his brain, which gives the feeling of the game slowing down. He's kind of, as I talk about, being in a zone, if you will, with respect to his mental decisions. And because Malik's always going to have the physical ability. I mean, he's going to be able, when things break down, to go make plays and to make, unbelievable throws and runs. What we need him to do is to deliver the football in a more anticipatory fashion by recognizing coverage sooner, processing that information faster, and delivering the ball when the defense is most out of position. That makes sense. Before they've had time to mature their coverage, pattern read, and start collapsing on us. And he's doing a good job of that right now.
Next, we'll go to Damian Sordelette with the Lynchburg News in Advance.
Ken, I asked Malik this on Friday about how he's been able to take all these outside expectations and essentially keep them as outside expectations and really focus on his day-to-day improvement. And as someone you've worked with for 3 years now, what can you say about his character and development of being able to not allow these outside influences to dictate how hard he works and try to get better and improve on those little things that you just spoke about?
Well, the good news is you got a young man here that hates outside distractions, right? So one of his great qualities is Malik has got a great level of self-awareness, right, which I think it's a great quality for all of us to have, to kind of know who we really are, where our flaws are, where our strengths are, where we struggle, those types of things. And Malik has a great self-awareness about his character, his integrity, what matters to him, what his priorities are, time management issues, these types of things. He's got a really good grasp of that. He's not going to let outside stuff derail him from his goals. And I can promise you his goals start with the team first. Malik does care about winning. Obviously, he wants to perform and he wants his career to be successful, whatever that looks like. But more importantly, he wants to win. And he understands the responsibility that he has and the position that he's got to make sure that he leads by example and can show by example how to remove distractions in his life, to come to practice every day and be ready to practice and be prepared to practice. Instead of making 10 or 15 mental errors, to practice well and to practice perfectly, or at least as close to perfectly as possible. So when you got a guy that's wired that way anyway, it makes it a little bit easier.
Next, we'll go to Ed Lane with the Virginia Talk Radio Network.
To build on what Damian had mentioned, Kent, is what we noticed Coach Freeze talking about after the practice Friday and wanting the energy level to increase and expecting that to happen as you guys get more practices in there. How much do you entrust that to Malik to be a trendsetter in that regard, and where has he been in terms of that process over the weekend as well?
Yeah, Malik leads more by example than he does, verbally. What I like about Malik is when he does make a correction or needs to make a correction with whatever group he's talking to, he does it in a way that's quieter. He doesn't point them out in a way that possibly where they would feel embarrassed because our leader on offense is pointing out. He'll go to them. I've seen him pull guys aside very quietly and get a correction done one-on-one with that player. I think it goes a long way in him creating trustworthiness with his teammates because it endears himself to his teammates in a really authentic way. And so they listen, right? As far as energy and effort, we're not going to coach effort in our room. Our quarterbacks know that. If they don't come ready to play and perform every drill that we have leading into team period, Skelly team, whatever it is, they're not going to get any reps with us. We're not going to coach effort. That's understood in our group that they're going to come to work every day.
Go ahead, John.
You mentioned that JB's pretty much locked in at number 2 right now. What has he done to kind of grasp hold of that position? Is it just his knowledge of the offense, having been in it? I guess this is his 3rd year, and then he's also got a number of young guys behind him. What are the progressions of some of those guys so far in camp? Yeah,
JB's definitely further ahead in his understanding of the offense and making great decisions. He's improved a lot as a passer. He doesn't spray the ball around as much. He's making a lot more throws. He's a lot more accurate. JB works really hard at his fundamentals. The understanding aspect, the mental aspect of the game comes easier for Jonathan than most quarterbacks. He's really bright and he can absorb a lot of information over a very short period of time. Again, but if you can't complete the football, it doesn't matter your understanding of the offense, right? And so he needed to improve as a passer, and he has. And I think that's what has set him apart right now in the number 2 position. The young guys have talent. They all have talent. Things still move a little fast for them, and we try to give them enough reps to help them to grow. But as you guys know too, it's tough to mimic game situations in practice. And you really don't get better as a quarterback, truly get better and really grow as a quarterback until you're playing live. We try to mimic as much as we can, put pressure on them in practice and these types of things. But I think right now their development is about where it should be, with the young guys.
Damian.
Ken, I'll ask a general offensive question since you're one of the coordinators, and with so many starters returning, you look at the entire offensive line, how much should this offense continue to improve throughout the year, and how excited are you to be up there calling plays from the booth, knowing there's a lot of continuity, maybe minus a couple wide receivers, but you got some good continuity across the board.
It helps a lot to have a veteran team that understands the offense for sure. That gives you, especially guys, especially early in the season. The camp is, it's 2 or 3 weeks. It's really shorter than you think, right? So having a quote unquote veteran team, a veteran offense in this regard, helps a lot because we're not learning everything fresh, and then so we're not wasting reps in the learning process, right? The reps are more meaningful right now, and it allows us to install other things. So we need to be smart as coaches to make sure that we're always putting our players in a position to be successful. There's going to be more personnel groupings and formations this year to take advantage of some of the talent and the understanding, as you're mentioning, with respect to the offense, and the guys that have a better understanding, the ability to absorb more, to play more positions. We're going to utilize that more offensively this year. We're not going to get away from our base offense, which Coach Free, it's been highly, highly successful for Coach over many years, so that is proven. But we need to move some of our weapons around, right, this year and take advantage of the weaknesses of the defense accordingly.
Got time for 2 more questions. We'll go back to Ed Lane with the Virginia Talk Radio Network.
When you look at the way this season shapes up for you guys, and obviously the expectations, you touched on Malik and his ability to block out a lot of the noise and a lot of the distractions. Carrying that over into the quarterback room, how have you noticed how he's handled that, impacting the growth and development of everybody else in that room?
Yeah, I mean, our young players watch him, right? Like they should. And so Malik understands that, that eyes are on him. So everything that he does matters. But from how quickly he shows up for meetings, how attentive he is, how prepared is he for that meeting. If I throw a marker to him and he gets up on the board, can he explain whatever it is that we're discussing like a coach? Because if he can't, he's not prepared as a quarterback. They all watch that. They watch his work ethic on the field. They watch how he goes through practice, how he handles adversity. If he misses a throw, does he sulk, or does he get back his eyes to the line of scrimmage and play the next play? These types of things. But they also watch him off the field, right? And to see how he manages his life in a way that helps him become the best player that he can be, because he understands to be the best person he can be. And our room knows this. We teach this in our room that, if you've got other issues in your life off the field, and you're not working at being the best person you can be in all areas of your life, it is going to show up on a football field when the lights are on. It is. I mean, I've coached a long time. I've seen it 1,000 times. Those things will show up. If you're a procrastinator in getting your work done during the week in academics or whatever it is, that's going to show up in a game because you're going to be less prepared, those types of things. So Malik understands that, and he leads by example in those areas.
Final question here today. John, go ahead.
Thanks, Alan. Coach, you've also got, Caden Salter, a very talented, highly rated recruit out of high school that's been with you guys for a little while now, a few weeks or so. How is, what are the main things you're working with him early on in camp? I know he's only got 4 practices under the belt, but what are the main things you're kind of working with him right now?
Yeah, so it's always a combination of trying to balance where he's at is understanding of grasping the offense, so you don't put too much on his plate and then he feels buried, right? Where you keep rolling back in the initial concepts that you're teaching, you get to a couple days out and then you roll back to day 1 to make sure that he has it, right? And so it's a layered progression in learning, and to be able to manage that and monitor it, that's what me and KD do, right, in the room. Physically, Caden, like most quarterbacks, he had quite a few fundamental flaws, both lower and upper body. He's really talented. He's got a real live arm. He's naturally accurate. He's twitchy. He can run. He's got great vision, these types of things. He's got all the ability that he needs. We're coaching him pretty hard fundamentally right now, in particular lower body, and making sure that his three-quarter delivery is removed. Very similar to Malik when we got Malik.